Hey girls, welcome back to my channel. I have Ryan today.
Hello.
We wanted to do a Q&A and I wanted him to come on because now collectively we have lost 80 pounds.
That's a lot of pounds.
Ryan lost about 35 pounds in the last year and a half or so and has put on a ton of muscle. So we thought it'd be cool to share both of our stories so you can hear from two people who have gone through a significant weight loss journey and really just be honest about some of those struggles within our relationship, but also give you some really practical advice if you're frustrated or trying to lose weight.
If you have a partner, a boyfriend, a husband, whoever, that you've tried to get on a health and fitness journey with you, but have struggled and hasn't really worked out, we're going to talk a ton about this, give you a bunch of tips and things that worked for us to help me get motivated, and also talk about a few things that definitely don't work and were a bit tough in our relationship. So make sure you watch that part too.
If you like videos like this, make sure you sweat the thumbs up. That just means give it a little click. And if you're new to my channel, I'm so happy you're here. I have new videos every week sharing my health and fitness journey, and this week Ryan's too, to help you with yours. Plus, I do giveaways every week for my subscribers. So all you have to do is make sure you're subscribed, hit that little red button, and comment down below. Each week, I pick one girl from this community to win a prize, and I share it over in the post right there.
And they're good prizes.
They are good prizes. So this week, since we were talking all about weight loss, I'm going to be giving away my 4-week hot body meal plan to one of you. So again, just make sure you hit the comments and check over in those posts later to see if you won. We're gonna dive deep into our story, but when you're done watching this video, make sure you go and follow us both on Instagram. I'm at Love Sweat Fitness and Ryan is just Ryan Dunlop. You can see more of his transformation photos over there as well. And you're doing such amazing, fun, motivational posts all the time too. So I'm super excited because you're not just behind the scenes anymore.
No, I know. It's weird being on this side of the camera. It's fun though.
I love it. And we're doing a lot on TikTok together. So if you're over there, make sure you follow there. All right, you ready?
Let's do it. Let's get into it.
Hi.
Hello.
It's weird having you here.
I know.
I do this by myself all the time.
Now I'm here.
That's nice looking at your face.
Yeah, you too.
That's good. Okay, I wanted to do this because obviously I went through my 45-pound weight loss journey and like most people know about that, but you just lost almost 40 pounds. Like 35 pounds?
Probably 40 pounds of fat, I think we were saying.
On the scale.
35 pounds on the scale, yes.
That's wild. And I think that like looking back, it's kind of crazy because I feel like you've been someone who's always been pretty fit and active. And you met me at my heaviest, my absolute heaviest.
At least 45 pounds heavier.
At least.
Yeah.
Like just in the beginning of this journey. So I feel like it's like weird because you were always so passionate about it, but never had really experienced struggling with weight or those emotions at all. And now you did.
Yeah, because I was always skinnier and I just felt like I didn't really have a problem with gaining weight. Even though I didn't always eat the healthiest, I don't think I usually added a lot of weight, but there's obviously a lot of factors, which we'll talk about, that contributed beyond just eating too much. And it was really different this time.
It's so interesting. So like collectively, we've lost about 80 pounds.
About 80 pounds together,
which
yeah.
Is so crazy when you think about it. Like that's a whole person, a small person, but a whole person.
Yeah.
Off of our bodies. And I think for me, like looking back, one of the coolest things has been to just see your level of dedication, which I never doubted because you're like that, like anytime you get passionate about something. But I think with fitness and nutrition, you always like cared a little bit. You cared, you ate healthy with me, you kind of did what I did, but I never thought it was like something you were passionate about, you know, made it a hobby.
Yeah, I think I always kind of felt like fitness and nutrition were your thing. Mm-hmm. So although I was a participant and although I'm part of, you know, running this company that we have, it never felt like it was my thing, but then I just had to make it my thing this time. And I'm glad I did, but it was weird because yeah, I've always been passionate about it, but never fully implemented it in my own life in a way that was super meaningful. I did it enough to look okay and fine and feel decent, but this was pretty different.
So I asked our community and like the girls to ask questions because obviously you didn't just lose weight, and like a lot of people lose weight and they have a healthier body, but you decided to like lose weight and then get like a freaking 6-pack and go next level. So there's like a lot of juicy questions, but I think the first one that I want to ask that I had so many girls ask is just like, what happened? Like how did you get to the point that you were so overweight? And sorry, side note, to some people it's not probably even that much overweight. You might look at you and say like you look totally healthy, normal. You had quite a bit of weight.
Yeah, I mean, so let's context first, right? So the height of my weight gain, I was clinically overweight and very close, like 1 BMI point away from obese, which is
that's crazy.
And I don't put everything obviously into the BMI calculations, but I think it's a good baseline. And medically, that's what is looked at. So being that close to being obese is pretty terrifying. Where you're like, wow, okay, what would that mean for my health and everything? So that was pretty shocking, although I didn't notice that at the time.
Well, sorry, I was going to say, I think that that's one thing people don't realize. It's not just about your body size, it's the amount of fat compared, right, comparatively. So, like, that's where BMI is important, because you might look relatively, like, quote unquote normal, but like you're like borderline technically medically obese. Like, that's important to know.
I think for me, how I got there was a lot of other things on top of my nutrition and workouts. So I was always working out. I mean, I was working out with you. So it wasn't really for a lack of workouts, but I think there was some problems there. Nutrition, I was eating healthy foods with you, but I was eating way too much of them. I mean, I never measured. I never really looked at what the portion sizes were. I just kind of eyeballed and said, yeah, this is probably fine. So I think that was number one, is I was eating too much, and even too much of good foods can be a bad thing, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm taking in too many calories and I'm not working those calories off.
Right.
So that was number one. And then I think the other two things that weren't there before, like, I think you can fade that to a degree when you layer on stress. And
you had stress?
Yeah, stress and lack of recovery.
Yeah.
It's just a recipe for disaster. And it was. And that was part work at the time, was very stressful, and there's a lot happening. And then also we were having a baby.
Yeah.
And I think I was so focused on you and making sure you were good, I just completely disregarded myself. And then at the same time, I was saying, okay, I'm going to stay up till 2 a.m., sometimes 3 a.m. working.
Yeah.
And I convinced myself that it was fine, but it was not.
No, and that's something no one sees when you're running your own business. And for us, we're a small team, and you have always been that person who will go till all hours of the night to get stuff done, which I love and appreciate, of course. But yeah, it was detrimental to your health because you're doing that basically every single night. You were a dream of a husband during my pregnancy and took the best care of me, but never wanted that to be where you sacrifice your own health during that time.
And it was funny because you remember this conversation with your doctor when you first got pregnant. He sat us down and he was explaining how much weight you should gain during the pregnancy. I think he said, Katie, you're going to gain about 25 to 30 pounds during this pregnancy. That'd be perfect. And Ryan, you're going to make sure you don't gain 25 to 30 pounds during this pregnancy. And I laughed that off. I said, oh, yeah, right. Like, no way that's going to happen. And then I turned around and realized, oh my gosh, what did I just do?
We'll put photos up because it feels like a blink. And when I look back at my camera roll, like, it literally went from, like, you were in pretty, never the shape you're in right now, but you were in good shape. And then the course of, like, right over the holidays into kind of right when we found out we were pregnant, everything just started to change really fast.
I mean, it's like, slowly, then all at once.
Yeah.
And that's the creep. It really creeps up on you, and the habits compound over time, and then you were in a totally different place.
Okay, so we kind of just hit on this, but I feel like there's a little more we can context with. But Julia asked, how did Ryan have so much fat to lose if he basically eats what you do, following the meal plans and stuff?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's a really good question, and that's why it was so surprising for me as well.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it comes down to just calories in, calories out. I mean, I know that maybe it sounds cliche, but that's how our bodies function. And I was eating way too many calories and not exercising nearly enough for that.
Yeah, and again, the added things of stress, like you were saying.
Yeah, I think stress and, my cortisol levels were probably through the roof with just general stress, and then sleeping so little. I mean, we're talking 4 or 5 hours here. Right. It's not like I was going to bed at 2 a.m. and waking up at 9. No. I was going to bed at 2 and waking up at 7, 7:30, 8. Yeah. That's just not very much sleep.
No, and to be fair, I was pregnant. I was really healthy and I was working out hard and I ate really healthy. However, we also did get in this habit of, like, ordering takeout a lot, which even if it was healthy-ish takeout.
Well, and you were eating for 2. And then I think the conventional wisdom is, you're right, not like technically, but say it's 1.5. Yeah. I think the conventional wisdom is, because I'm a man, I should be eating more than you.
Right.
But I didn't make any adjustments for the fact that you were growing little Luke.
Yeah.
And then I was eating considerably more than you.
Totally. And I'd be like, I want breakfast burritos. And we go get breakfast. Yeah. Like, it's just like those little things that add up, like you were saying, those habits over time. So I think we both got off track. I just was working mine off a little bit more.
And I think the question of, like, how was it all fat, or how was there so much fat? I was at 23, I think, and 0.5% body fat. Mm-hmm. That tells me I was easily above 25% body fat before I did that scan.
Yeah.
So how did it get to be so much?
Above, probably.
Yeah. How did it get to be so much fat? I think the answer is I wasn't building any muscle. Mm-hmm. There wasn't anything that I was doing in my workouts that would build muscle, because they were kind of all over the place.
You had no energy for real workouts, like hard ones at that point.
No. And so all of those extra calories just materialized as fat in the body.
Yeah, totally. It's crazy when you think about it and you're just like, again, I think for women too, especially if you hold weight kind of evenly around your body, it just sneaks up on you.
Well, because for you, like when we first met, I would say your weight, although you were, 45 pounds heavier, it was really evenly distributed. I never personally thought of you as, oh my gosh, she's really overweight, Did you feel overweight at that time?
Yes,
Even you
I
did.
remember. This is so TMI, but I remember the first time we were intimate feeling so insecure because I felt like I was like double your size, which in reality I know it was not, but that's just like where I was at mentally. And I was so insecure, and I felt like you were just like this cute boy from Orange County, and I had never dated anyone kind of with your stature, or I don't know. I felt big at that time. So yeah, I was very insecure.
Yeah, Katie always told me at the time, she was like, I always just thought I would be dating like a big guy, like a big burly guy, and I was not that at the time.
I dated a lot of big burly or like football kind of, but you're my man.
Yeah.
Here you are.
That was always said, right, in the early parts of our relationship. Yeah. Did that ever bother you that I wasn't bigger, more muscular, and I was thin? Did that was that unattractive at the time? Obviously, we still dated and we got married, but like, what's the real deal on that?
I mean, if I'm being like, I'm like gonna cry being honest. I think that like, yeah, sometimes like I was so in love with you and I was so attracted to you. But I think there's times like, yeah, like I think a lot of girls want that like feeling like you could just like, wrestle a bear for me. And so, yeah, I think that was something like I probably struggled with a little bit at times for sure.
I mean, I also think that oftentimes these conversations or even just the action and reaction to what the other person in a relationship wants or is interested in or is attracted to, like it often doesn't go both ways.
Yeah.
I would say more often than not, like the woman in the relationship put in more work and the man is like, hey, this is the way I am.
Yeah.
And I probably took that approach a little bit, but also I didn't know what was possible in my body. Like I felt at the time, this is my build. Like this is my body type.
Oh yeah. I thought I was big boned my whole life. Like
I think that was the craziest realization for me is that the body type I was when I met you was not my actual body type. And we talked about this a lot, but I would have inspo pictures and saying, okay, this is what I want to get to. I want to get to this body style, this muscular level. But in my head, I would think, oh yeah, there's no way you're going to look like that.
Yeah.
And then I told you, I said that the original inspo picture I had, I actually feel like I've gotten to that level or surpassed that level of fitness and muscular definition.
Yeah.
But I literally didn't even believe that was physically possible for my body,
right.
that my body couldn't even recomp like that, couldn't even look like that. And then it did. And you're just like, it's shocking.
Well, it is. And I think that that's like, as a woman too, that's something I always thought was like, oh, I'll never have abs. I'll never have like a flat belly. Oh, like all the things. I'll never have space between my thighs. There'll never be a time they don't rub together. All that stuff that you just believe to be true until you start making changes. And I think that we think it's so much harder than it actually is. Not that it's easy. Obviously, it takes dedication and consistency and that willingness and desire to really actually change. But I think like when it comes down to how to get there, those are like very simple steps.
They are simple. And that was one of the things too. Like I always said, I really wanted to get abs, like, but I was just accepting that I couldn't get a 6-pack ever. It wouldn't be possible. And when you realize how simple it is, and then you start to see some results, it's very intoxicating. Yeah. Like you start to believe it.
Right.
And then you know you can do it, but it's a war of attrition. It's over time. It's like, how long are you willing to put in the commitment for? Like my story is not a short one.
Right.
It's not like...
Okay, but I think that that's something like no one knows though, because I think most people probably just assumed, well, because you weren't like going shirtless all the time, they probably just assumed like you looked like you had a fairly like averagely healthy fit body, right? So I think it was shocking for a lot of people to see now all of a sudden we were like, wham, look at these abs and arms. They're like, wait, what just happened? But it's been a year plus,
over a year. I mean, a year and a half. Yeah. So like I was really proud of the weight loss work that I did up front. Probably in the first 4 to 6 months, I lost a considerable amount of weight. Yeah. I was really proud of that because that was a big move in the right direction. And then it started to get in my mind of, okay, wait, like what can you do now? What is possible?
Yeah.
And it's, look, losing fat and building muscle at the same time, aka body recomping, is super, super hard. Like that takes a lot of time because there's certain things you have to do and it's just a slow process.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I went through that process instead of just trying to rip off fat and muscle same time. But yeah, it's how long can you go?
Right.
Because if I would have stopped at 6 months, then I don't think I would have ever got to this point. If I would have said, oh, I'm happy now and I'm content, I just really just decided Like I have to go beyond where I've ever thought was possible. And it was a cool challenge for me, one I didn't really even think I could accomplish.
So one of the other questions a girl asked was, did you ever feel insecure with me? And I think she means, I don't know exactly. So I guess you can just take that however you want. My guess is it's like with me being like out and about and the level of fit. But I still have goals and places I want to go, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fair question because I think all the time, I tell you this, but I think all the time, I don't feel like my wife is essentially a model, a bikini model, a fitness model. Like you are so beautiful and incredible and you look phenomenal. Whenever we go out, I've never seen somebody complimented more on their outfit or whatever, but just like, you just look amazing. So yeah, of course, for me as a guy, on one hand, I'm thinking, this is great. Like, she's my wife. This is a good thing. Yeah. On the other hand, I'm going, I'm not at the same level. Like, people are going to think, hey, good job, dude. And I've gotten those comments many a times, right? And then I think back on those and I go,
you're like, wait, was that nice?
Were they saying that? Because they're like, well, how did this guy get that girl? And that's probably why. And I don't think that's a good thing, right? Like, I really believe that these conversations and the actions in a relationship do need to go both ways. And that was part of it for me. It was very motivating in that sense. Yeah, I mean, you've always been so loving and love me just the way I am. Like I think I did with you when you were at your kind of lowest point. But now things are, I think, even more elevated than that. And yeah, of course, like I don't blame you for being more attracted to me now than you were then. That's just normal. Yeah. That's anybody. And so, yeah, like there was a level of insecurity for sure. I remember when I was completely delusional, I remember I was trying on pants and shirts in here and I was like, these don't fit. Oh, why aren't these fitting? And because I was working out at the time, I was saying, oh, it's because I'm building so much muscle. Yeah. Somehow I thought I was building muscle around my waist, which is weird. I have a video of me in the mirror trying on pants that don't fit and being like, well, I guess I built muscle. And then
we cleaned out your entire closet. Yeah. And I'm sorry.
Probably so much of that would fit now.
I have to just like in front of the Lord and everyone apologize because I was so wrapped up in myself and being so pregnant and thinking about being a mom for the first time. And then once Luke was here, just being, I love you and I cared about me and him in that moment and just making sure everything was good. And I just didn't care enough or pay enough attention to really be able to give you
You're an angel, but you fed my delusion.
I know, I'm sorry. I was like, you're great. You're so strong. Like, cool. But it happens. I think the timing, obviously, it was hard for me to like see any of that. And not that I don't care, but like to care at the level of that where I'm like, you're taking care of us. We're all healthy and strong. Like this is not where my head was at the time. So I think it was hard because you were kind of on an island of delusion. Sorry. All right, so Christine said, I want to know the whole story, but really what was the moment that you realized you needed to make a change and what steps did you take? So you're like, aha, like, or, oh, moment.
I think it was a little after Luke was born in that you really start to realize like once you're a dad, how much responsibility you have on your shoulders. And I started to look at myself different and really evaluate, am I the example that I want to be for him? Yeah. And I started to realize that was not what I wanted. My brain shifted, I think. You look at yourself in the mirror over time as you gradually gain weight. And I think that you don't realize it. And then that moment with having him and being able to think about that, all of a sudden it was like a new lenses on my eyes where I just saw things totally different. Yeah. And I'm so thankful for him in that way, but also I had to do better at that point. And it still took some time after that for me to say, okay, we're going to do this, right? It wasn't that simple. Yeah. So I would say that was probably the biggest moment for me. And then what did I do? Well, the first thing was getting nutrition under control, measuring out the foods, really sticking to the meal plan and understanding what my portion sizes looked like. I realized I was so far and beyond whatever I thought I was eating by thousands of calories, probably.
It just adds up.
It adds up. It's crazy. So I had to get the portions in check. That was number one. Quality of food and the types of food haven't really changed all that much.
No, I think for us, it was the biggest thing was the takeout, which especially in the first 6 months of Luke being born, like we ate so much
even
takeout.
Clean takeout. Yes. When you really go look at it, you don't realize how much calories are in there.
I mean, the water retention, the sodium,
unbelievable.
Everything.
And that's not to say we don't still do it, obviously, but you just have to account for it in the day. And so changing my mindset and really getting strict with that was a big thing.
I think we had to kind of just go back to, for you especially, but I have more recently too, just going back to actually following the meal plan, and for you adjusting macros to make sure you're measuring to get those right macros and hitting your targets because they were so out of whack before.
Yeah. So I think that was big, and just understanding what's my daily expenditure, like how many calories do I need to be at maintenance, and then understand I have to be in a deficit to lose weight. So let's make sure the numbers are right. And now it's habit for me. You know, I used to have it in my Apple phone notes or reminders where I would have every meal I needed to eat and how much of it. And actually last week, because I get so many notifications with that thing, because there's so many different things I'm eating, but I literally sat there and said, you don't need this anymore.
Yeah.
You're good. Like you do not need this. And I deleted all my reminders. And that was like that was a nice
That's
feeling
cool,
to get that off the plate.
And that's the biggest thing is I always talk about that. Like when I build the meal plans and stuff for women, it's measured out, right? You should measure. You should use that as a tool to start to understand. But the goal is not that you have to do that for all eternity once you actually learn what you're supposed to eat.
Well, I always tell you, one of my most satisfying moments of the day is when I can eyeball a banana to 120 grams, which is what I need, and I nail it. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
But so that was number one, nutrition. And then my workouts. You know, I was doing great workouts, but they just weren't intentional for my goals all the time. And I would switch them up every week. I was trying to switch workouts up, do different ones all the time. And I think I really just was able to finally understand that repetition is important here.
Yeah.
I was able to, be consistent with doing my workouts 5 days a week was what I was doing predominantly during that time, and the type of workouts that I needed for my body and my goals, right? Like training my abs was an important part of what I did. So once I leaned down, they showed up, and that was like something I just wasn't fully focused on before. I was more focused on getting in a workout.
Yes.
And I'd say now I'm focusing on actually exercising with intention.
Yeah. And that is huge because I remember most of that time for a long time. Obviously, I know you trust me and everything, but as your wife, I know it's sometimes annoying when I would try to coach you at times, but I remember always trying to push you to like, oh, you can do heavier for this, or like, why are you using the same weights? I'm picking up 225s to do my step ups. You should be picking up 45s, So I think like that was hard to like kind of push you. You had to get to a point where you're like, oh wait, I can do more.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the other thing that hopefully inspires people that are listening to watching this and saying, oh, can I do this? Is up until very recently, I did virtually every workout in our home gym. Mm-hmm. Yep. Dumbbells and kettlebell and body weight. That's it. I really wasn't going to the gym. I'll go to the gym more now because I literally just need heavier weights we don't have. Yeah. If we had them at the house, I wouldn't.
Right.
So I think that it's so doable at home, and that was really helpful for me. But that was something that was really important to me. It was like I had to do this and feel like it was on my own. And part of doing that was working out at the house.
Yeah, for sure. So this one's a really good one, and I feel like we have to be super honest about it. And maybe I'm speaking to myself. But Susan asked, being honest, do you guys ever get competitive or jealous of each other's fitness journey?
You want to go
I'll
first?
go first.
Okay.
True confession.
Sure.
You've always been someone who's been so confident in your work and your intellect, and I've always admired that. But I don't think necessarily you've ever had like a massive confidence in your physical body. No. Right? Okay. So I think it was an adjustment for me. There was a point, probably not too long ago, a couple months ago, I think, when you finally, your abs started really popping through and everything kind of was like, boop, like you had lost all this weight, but then all of a sudden you started seeing everything unfold over a couple weeks. And this confidence like went from like 0 to 100. And I had to check myself because I was so excited for you and like so pumped for you. But I think there was also this part of me that was like, I talk about it with like friends in the past, right? Our relationship shift now in a sense where like you're kind of a different person in some way. Yeah. And it's a good thing. And I want that for you so bad. But I was like, okay, like he's like feeling himself. He's like checking himself out. Like, I don't know. It was weird for me to like adjust. And I don't know if it was jealousy because I'm like, well, I haven't gone that hardcore in a long time and maybe I need to like step up my game a little bit, or I don't know what, but it took me a minute to adjust to be able to genuinely be like, no, I'm genuinely just so happy for you and this is good for all of us. But it was an adjustment because you were different.
Yeah, I understand that and I appreciate that. Yeah. It's okay. It makes sense. I would say that, yeah, I felt competitive with you often when we would do workouts together because I felt like just naturally as the man, I should be able to do the things you do or do more at a certain level than you could do. But you are you and you are very strong and very talented when it comes to this kind of stuff. And there was so many times where I wasn't even close. I was like, oh my, you would lap me in rounds when we were doing, workouts together. And yeah, it was kind of embarrassing. Obviously nobody was seeing it. Right. And you're just doing you. You're not
I know
trying.
you get annoyed though.
Yeah, you're not trying to embarrass me at those times. But it definitely felt that way, if I'm being honest, because I just couldn't do it. And now, right, we probably don't have that problem. So for me, that's good. I'm more confident in that.
I might be faster, but it's only because I'm not lifting
You
as
are
heavy as
faster.
you are.
Yes. I think obviously we get competitive with each other now, but that's a good thing because we push each other now. So I want to be my healthiest, strongest, fittest for myself, but also for you. And that's a very motivating thing.
It is. Iron sharpens iron. So that's one thing. You have always driven me to be better in pretty much every area of my life. So for me, it's like such a cool thing to be able to be a part of that for you and like help you take your health and fitness to a different level and just see that hunger and drive and passion you have. Always said like anything that you get into, you give like 210% or whatever the highest percentage is. You always go like all in. So it's been cool to see you with this, like just go that full extra. And I think for me, it's been really inspiring even in my own journey to like want to push myself more.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So one girl asked how to motivate her man without having a baby.
Oh, it's a good question.
I think it's just something so many women struggle with because like you said earlier, I think a lot of women, we care about our health and fitness. We do it for social reasons and for just ourselves. But I think so many women struggle with husbands who don't really care about or want to at all eat healthy, don't want to exercise, and not only for their health, but obviously to be attracted to them still. It's important that we figure out how to help get them on board.
Yes, it is. So I have a lot of thoughts on this, but first, I will look right at the camera for any of the guys. It goes both ways. You won't be sorry if you get in on this too. It makes a huge difference in your personal confidence, your relationship, everything. So
I just saw a meme that I have to say this. I saw a meme the other day that was a guy that said, your girl always says she's not in the mood. Something along those lines.
Yeah,
like,
I saw
do you
this.
see this? Like your woman's always saying she's not in the mood. Or you're always complaining that your woman's never in the mood. It's like become a man that gets her in the mood. It was like him like working out. And
the one I saw was, do you ever think that's because of you? Do you ever think that's your problem?
Yeah, it probably was the same one. It was essentially that thing. And it was like become that man.
I think there's this thought that being a man means you just have this confidence in yourself, and that because you provide oftentimes value in other ways, maybe that's financially in the family or whatever it may be, that you don't have to do anything else. Mm-hmm. And of course you can think that, and that flies for a lot of people, but there is gonna always be a resentment that builds up in a relationship when the man is not coming to the table with their fitness, they're taking care of themselves, whether that's just like being well groomed or whatever. It makes a difference, and it will get harbored in a relationship, and it eats away at it. Mm-hmm. And you see it so often, right? So I think that guys do have to step up and be a part of a positive thing here. Yeah. How do you motivate a man without having a baby? So I think there's a couple things. It's easier, obviously, if you're doing it yourself as the woman, because you can ask them to be a part of it. I think people just ask, right? Yeah. Ask more than you tell.
And the nagging. I think it's like when we get frustrated, obviously, then it gets taken as nagging a lot, and we don't know how to express it by just asking.
You have to psychologically trick them in some ways. And what I mean by that is when you tell them, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, it feels like you're accusing them of something versus, hey, would you do this with me? Yeah. Comes off so much better. Totally. So I think that's one thing. It's just like ask them to be a part of it with you. That's number one. Number two, I think I talked about this in my stories on my Instagram, but I think it's a big one. Celebrate their wins. Like you have been such a cheerleader this whole process for me, and that's made a huge difference in how I've progressed. But like if they make some progress, even just little progress, even if that's just eating differently for a couple days, celebrate them. Yeah. Tell them they're doing a great job and let them know you appreciate it and you think it's a great thing.
Celebrate them.
Yeah. Or that too. That'll work for sure. I mean, do you think our, I don't know if like YouTube edits this, so I'll say it a different way. Would you say our intimate life is better now than it was a year and a half ago?
Yes, but to be fair, I feel like we've always had a very good one, like very, very good. So yes,
you don't have to say that. But you know what I mean.
No, I'm not. Yeah, but it's hard because it literally has always been really good. So yeah, I would say it has been better. Yeah. Because you can pick me up and put me on together.
That's true. Yeah, it's true. But anyways, so I think it's ask instead of telling. Yeah. It's celebrating their small wins. Look, I'm a big believer in making it easy for somebody to say yes to doing this. So can you buy more of the foods that should be in the house? Can you cook those meals to help them get started? Maybe do a little meal prep for them if they're going to work. That could be big. And then give them opportunities to work out together.
Yeah.
You know, come do the workout with me at home if you want to go do a class, whatever it is. But give them opportunities to take instead of making it hard for them to have to figure it out on their own.
Yeah, and I think as women, we like to be right, and we think we know best, which we usually do. So girls, Ryan kind of said it. It's like kind of tricky, that manipulation. I don't want to encourage, but I think it's in the like, someone has to be the bigger person, right? So instead of making them feel bad about the things they're not or the things they're not doing, it's really, making it easier for them, helping encourage them, asking them to be a part of it, and letting them feel empowered by that. I think that the more you can do those things and kind of just step up, even though it might be annoying for a while to like have to do all these things for them, if it's something you ultimately want for your relationship, I think that that's the best first step.
And there's something too, when your wife is clearly more attracted to you as you start to make progress, that makes a big difference in a guy's confidence. You cannot understate that.
Yeah.
And so I think that just acknowledging as that goes on is a huge factor.
Yeah, because we forget as women, we want that. So, okay, I can't speak for all women. I think most women, myself, we want that. We crave that constantly.
But sometimes for different reasons, like the male ego is a certain way,
Right.
and it can get fed by this kind of stuff, which is not a bad thing in a good relationship.
But that's my point. Is I think as women, we don't think that our guys need that. Like we don't think about that as much,
right? Yeah,
because we know how much we need it, but we're like, they're guys, whatever. But no, like you guys need that. I think the more you feed into that, the better results you're gonna get for the behaviors you're trying to get out of them. How to manipulate your man into it.
It can, some of it can sound like maybe it's very surface level stuff, but it's important in a relationship. We don't talk about enough level of attractiveness in relationships and how it matters. It does.
Well, especially like, because there's so many components, but you and I have been married 13 years.
Yeah.
You're my person forever. So we're going to be honest with each other. We're going to like do the hard work. It's not always easy. I feel like it can seem easy from the outside, but you and I have a lot of tough conversations.
Sure.
We do hard things together and individually all the time to continue to strengthen ourselves. And I think that stuff and this physical aspect and health aspect plays into all of that, because it's libido, it's hormones, it's, mood, stress levels. It impacts all of that beyond just your physical body.
No doubt about it. Yeah. It really all makes a difference.
Okay, so we could go on for hours and hours, but I feel like we should just kind of hit some like really easy practical tips that people need to know for like where to get started, what to do. Obviously, there are a ton on my channel, so make sure you guys come and watch other videos too. But for you, having just gone through this journey, whether it's for a woman or for their husband going into it, what are some of those things? I know one question someone asked is like, if you had number one weight loss tip, what would it be? Only one.
So my number one tip is going to be have a plan. There's a bunch of things that can help the fat burn off faster, right? We can talk about those, but it's have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you will fail.
Right.
It's just inevitable. You will get off track. There's people that go to the gym, right? And they aimlessly walk around and just kind of hit machines here and there, or they don't do the same stuff. I was even talking to my dad about this the other day and how he works out. And I was like, no. Please switch this up.
Yeah.
It's because you don't have a plan and you're just trying to wing it. You will never see significant results winging it. You need to have a plan both for workouts and for nutrition. Eventually it'll become habit, it'll become lifestyle and won't feel like a plan anymore. But up front, you need to have a very prescriptive plan for how are the workouts going to look every single day. What meals am I eating and what level of calories and macros do I really need in my day in order to achieve my goals? That's a must.
Yeah. Okay. Second one would be if you had to choose in your day, you could only choose one, strength or cardio. And by cardio, I mean like hitting 10 to 12K steps, not like going and running or sprints or anything. Would you do strength training or cardio?
At this point, definitely strength training. I think strength training has so many different benefits. And, you need it in order to build muscle in addition to burning fat. So for me, it'd be strength training. But I can't undersell how important 10,000 plus steps. Now I'm in the 12K club since you motivated me there. 12K steps a day, but 10K steps a day is great.
Yeah.
10,000 steps a day is a significant part of how I lost the weight. When I wasn't doing it, my weight loss was slower. When I was, it was faster. Simple as that. But for my goals, it's definitely going to be weightlifting.
Number one place to start, if you can only choose one, you don't feel like you can tackle both at the same time, nutrition or fitness?
Nutrition.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be active during your day. You're going to get some level of cardiovascular work in just by standing around. You're going to burn some calories. So nutrition, because you can still get yourself in a calorie deficit if you need to. And ultimately, that's the hardest thing for most people to get right, to get comfortable with. We can all kind of conceptualize what a workout looks like and all the different workouts you could do. Running, walking, swimming, biking. Those are all workouts. Those are easy for some people.
Well, that's why you see so many people who work out regularly but still are unhappy and not getting the results they want, because the workout's great for your cardiovascular health and your muscle strength, but if the nutrition's not on point, you're not going to see results.
Yeah. So nutrition, 100%, a meal plan you can stick with and that you actually enjoy. I love all the foods I eat. I have for the past year and a half plus. That's never changed. I don't want to be miserable eating foods. I look forward to like my smoothies. I like literally look forward to them every day.
I think for me, one of the biggest things that's changed, because my body composition has been changing. I've been focusing a lot on building more glute strength. So I swapped one of my cardio days and moved for doing my legs and booty a second day and lifting heavier on those and then adding all the steps. But one thing when it comes to nutrition, still living by the Hot Body meal plan that I've really switched up is one, trying to eat most of my carbs earlier in the day.
Big.
And then the other one has actually hitting my protein goals every day. Like
Bigger.
Actually eating all the protein in the meal plan, because I think it's like 140. My goal is usually 140 to 150. So getting that protein in first thing in the morning, I feel like has changed how I feel, my energy, my body comp, like everything.
And real quick, for those that aren't up on this, why that's important. I mean, I can speak to it a little bit for myself too. Yeah. Carbs earlier in the day, that's our energy. Anyone says cut out carbs, well, replace that with cut out energy. That's what you're doing.
Right.
Right. So you want that energy earlier in the day so you can use it during the day. So that makes a ton of sense. And then protein, everyone, I think, or most people are looking for that toned, quote unquote, toned look. Yeah. It's a very loose term, and what does it exactly mean? But I think what most people mean is like some level of like muscular definition, but not too much, but looks good, right? But protein is the builder of that. It's the constructor of those muscles to show through as you lose the fat. So most people undereat protein, they underdevelop muscle, right? I mean, it's
just as simple as that.
It is that simple, but it's really hard for people to wrap their heads around because it feels uncomfortable at first sometimes. I think that's like, we hear that with the meal plan all the time from women in the community is, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm eating so much food. And you're like, you're actually eating less food. I know that's hard to believe probably than you were before, but you're eating the right stuff and your body needs it. It craves it. It might feel funny at first because your body's going, wait, what the heck's going on here? But once it gets used to it, it's going to put it to work.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, I feel like we hit most everything.
Did we just film a podcast?
I've kind of, on our bed while our baby naps. It's perfect. I think that we should probably call it for today. But if you guys want us to do this again, I don't know. Maybe we do start a podcast. That's aggressive. I don't know if we can go there.
This is actually.
But we could do a part 2.
It's easy to talk to you.
Obviously,
We could do a part 2 on this. If you want to see a part 2, just comment with what other topics, what other specific questions you have, and we'll just take them from YouTube this time.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, this is really fun.
It was so fun.
It was so great. This is awesome.
I could just do this, except my feet are falling asleep.
I know.
I could do it a lot with you. Maybe just reposition ourselves.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll figure something out.
All right. All right, girls, I kind of loved having Ryan do this with me. So if you enjoyed that, make sure you hit the like button and comment down below. Let me know if you want us to do more videos together. And make sure you're subscribed because I'm going to be picking one of you to get the 4-week Hot Body meal plan. All right, I love you guys so much. I'll see you next week. Bye.